Well, thank you for coming on my show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Can you tell everyone about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Rashida L. Hudson. I am an actress born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I went to Michigan State University, majoring in theater and psychology. I've been living in Los Angeles for the last 7 years. And yeah, so that's just pretty much me, just, taking it one day at a time in the industry. Balancing a life as, a wife and a mother of two sons. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And yeah, just doing things like that.
Wow, amazing. And what made you move from Michigan all the way across the country to Los Angeles?
Yeah, so what actually made me move to Los Angeles was, for one, it was always a dream of mine. I've been acting, let's put it this way, the bug bit me when I was in junior high. So I was about 12, maybe 11, and I was in the seventh grade. And so from there, I was doing theater. And by the time, throughout the years, I've been doing like, my acting with local community theater. I went to Michigan State, majored in theater as well. And then, so at that time, it was kind of like, okay, well, you guys need to figure out, do you want LA? Do you want New York? Do you want to like pursue this? And at that time, I actually auditioned for the Los Angeles Dramatic Academy of Dramatic Arts. I'm like,
Hmm.
so yeah. So, and I got accepted. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. Life had happened, but that was in 2011. And so I was like, okay, from there, I'm just going to figure out how can I get out here. So from 2011, I've just been kind of like, doing more experience of work, whether it was background, whether it was helping in like local community commercials, like in Detroit, or just helping like friends productions. I was like, okay, I just want to get out to Los Angeles. And then from there, took a bit of a pause. I kind of went the, traditional route, which is working a 9 to 5. I was a store manager in retail. And so that was kind of taking me down a different path, but I kept feeling this urge like, okay, I just really want to get out to Los Angeles. I don't want to
Hmm.
go to Ohio and do the corporate lifestyle. And I was like, well, can't you guys just transfer me to California? And I was like, I just have to find a way. And so fast forward, I end up reconnecting with my now husband. We have a long history where
Right.
we were dating, and I found out that he wanted to move to Los Angeles because he's in the music industry, and he knew that I wanted to pursue acting. So it was kind of like faded from there. So I was like, okay, well, let's take this journey. Let's take this leap. Not to mention, when I moved out here, I was like 27 weeks pregnant. So yeah. So I just took risk and I just took a leap, and we just came out here just, reaching for the stars. So
Right. Amazing story. Thank you for sharing. And
thank
you no, you're very welcome. That's crazy. You're 21 weeks pregnant, right?
27 weeks pregnant. Yes,
27. Wow.
27. Yes, yes. It was my
That is
first, and we were just recently married. And of course, my family and his family was like, do you want to do that? You're moving across country to, you don't even have family out there. You want to pursue acting? You're pregnant. Why don't you just stay out here for like at least another year? My husband was like, no, if we don't leave now, it's never going to happen. And I told my husband, I was like, yeah, this is right. Because I've been actually trying to get out to LA since 2007. I didn't tell you, but the first time I moved, well, not moved, I came out to Los Angeles. It was for like a convention.
hmm
It was the Actors and Talent Modeling and Agency, so IMTA. And it was a cool experience. I actually won Young Adult Female Actress of the Year. And it was super cool, amazing experience. But then from there in 2007, I was like, okay, well, they were telling me in the industry, they were like, okay, well, since you're still in school, when you graduate, why don't you move out here? And then, we could see exactly how serious you are. Finish school first. Hollywood is not going anywhere. And I was like, okay. So then 2011 happened. That's when I auditioned for the Academy of Dramatic Arts. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm tired of all these like roadblocks here. Like, I have to make this commitment. How can I get out to Los Angeles?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you working on any current projects?
Yes. Well, I just wrapped up two projects. Back in May, I was in two indie films. The first film is called Fracture, and I was the lead actress. And that was shot in over a week, which should have been like at least 2 weeks, but nonetheless, that was that. And then as soon as I wrapped that, the next day I was in my next indie film, and that's called Pancake Man. And right now, we did the first half of it, and so now
Hmm.
they're taking a pause just to get more funding, and then they're going to pick it back up at the end of the summer. And so now, since then, I've been working on a TV show with my current improv group. I've been in improv for like over the last 3 years with the LA Connections Comedy of Theater in Burbank with Kent Skoll. And so some of those actors we meet once a week online, and they decided, they were like, okay, aside from what we do online, how about we create like an actual TV show? So some of the actors were like, okay, let's get together. So we meet once a week at a friend's house, and we're working and developing our characters. We kind of got a plot line going. So we're just figuring like once we get like the whole body, the skeleton together, then, we're looking at the different platforms and distributors. So that's what I'm currently working on. So a little bit of comedy after I just left a little dramatic thing with my film, playing drama. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Wow,
that's
amazing. And then so that's that one. What other projects have you done in the past?
other projects that I have done again. They were, well, I also have an agent. So in between, I'm like doing commercials. So that's like my bread and butter. Aside from that, it's been also like other indie projects that I've done. I just finished one that aired, I want to say this year in March, and it's called Half Dead Fred, and that's starring Corey Nimick. And I was playing a Detective Dormany. So that's like a, mystery thriller, suspense, um, super funny, but super like, okay, like what's going to happen? So it has like your comedic undertone
Hmm.
in it. And we just wrapped that up. And they're the same production company that's doing what I'm currently, well, technically just wrapped, but also picking back up at the end of the summer for Pancake Man. So this is super fun. The director, his name is Brian Theron. And before that, I also, because I tend to see I'm working with like the same directors, which is perfectly fine. The one before that, I just did a pilot presentation, and I was the lead actress for that. And right now they're trying to continue like shooting the next 6 episodes, but
Hmm.
everything that's kind of happening right now in the industry. So everything is
Yes.
kind of like at a standstill. But with the one pilot episode that they do have, they're trying to see exactly how they can shop that around.
Hmm.
So there are some
Yeah, I
talks
saw
of
in
like,
the industry everything's kind of pausing, right?
yes, yes. So it's like I don't know. I just work here or not. So
Right.
and then from there, just my commercials. So in between, I just did like a voiceover from a commercial that I did last year,
Hmm.
for Slim Fast. So I was kind of like it was for an ad campaign, and I was like their face for it for a minute. And so I guess they're going to continue it this year and do maybe a couple of more commercials. So we'll see. But I think that's supposed to take place in August, even though I just did their voiceover. Like I want to say, what was it? This is July, so like last month.
Right.
And then yeah, so like I said, between like actual television or pilot presentations and film is literally just kind of like auditioning for like my
Hmm.
commercials and like doing that. Like I just literally got back last week from San Diego shooting a commercial. So that's kind of like what I'm doing in between. And what I want to say, this is July. So maybe like February, March, beginning April, I was doing Dharma. So sometimes I do Dharma in between, um, which is a good thing just to kind of keep me like, doing something where I'm not feeling idle, because that
Right.
and improv is what I keep, my sanity is being an actor. Because, as an artist, a creative, an actor is like, if we're not doing anything, we start getting in our heads and like, okay, so what's next? Maybe I'm not good anymore. Maybe I suck, and you become lazy in your head. So yes.
So I noticed you were on Darman, and
Yes.
what episodes were you on?
Oh gosh. Gosh, it was a lot. Like, I tend to do a lot of background with them, but one of them that I have like a speaking role, this one actually, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's literally the son tries to sabotage the mom's wedding.
Hmm.
And I think it was actually starring that actor Roman. I can't remember his last name,
Roman
but I think
Smith.
yes,
Yes.
he's in it. So he was the mastermind of the sabotaging, and my character, she was the employee in this wedding store, this bridal store, and
Hmm.
I noticed that the son spills what is it, cranberry juice on her wedding gown. And so I rush over and I'm trying to like calm her down and let her know, like, it's okay, we can definitely work with this, it comes right off. And, that was just like my little segment right there. And just the cast, they were super down to earth. I love working with Darman. They for sure, they keep actors employed and just keep us, doing things. And I think the first time I did anything with Darman was December of 2021. And so ever since then, they keep you on rotation and like, hey, are you available? We have an opportunity. So that's what I tend to do with them. So
Wow. Yeah, Darman is amazing.
aren't they? Oh my gosh. I mean, yes, because it's so important. Like I said, you're trying to find work, trying to stay consistent in your work is kind of like far in between. And now that we're kind of going into this new shift in the industry, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. But before even all of that transpired, I was very grateful for Darman because they give you the opportunity to make a lot of connections, meet a lot of great actors, get a lot of, great insight. And then
Hmm.
they don't treat you like, I don't want to say like on some productions, but there's tiers. Like if
Right.
you're background or if you're the crew or if you're the star talent. When you go to Darman's productions, it's like everyone is on the same equal level. Even their top tier talent, how they actually talk with people that's like, background or maybe
Hmm.
just principal, they treat everyone with respect. I love how the crew treats everyone with respect. There's a couple of times I would see even Darman walking in. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's him. And he's so down to earth. You didn't see anything that was kind of like, intimidating, like, oh, don't talk to me. And I just love that about that. It's a friendly, it's a safe environment. So yeah, I love it.
I'm glad.
I
I'm
love it.
glad. I'm glad you love Darman. It's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
So, all the stuff that the past films that you just mentioned, how can people watch that, by the way?
So what you can do, Tubi or Amazon Prime, especially for Half Dead Fred, that's currently being streamed on Tubi as well. And then as far as, well, again, the new one that's getting ready to come out, those are also going to be platformed with Tubi as well. So Fracture, that should be coming out. If it doesn't come out sometime December, it'll probably be like at the beginning of the year.
Hmm.
I mean, we just wrapped it, but I think they're pushing for December. And as far as like Pancake Man, I think they're going to try to do Amazon Prime as well as Tubi. And I'm not sure exactly which other platforms, distributors they're looking at, but yeah. And then as far as like my improv, what I do with Kent Scope with LA Connection Comedy Theater, you can see that once a week. Well, not once a week, but every 4 weeks on YouTube. We have like different segments. So what I
Hmm.
do on Tuesdays is called long form. So we'll take, like whatever the topic is, and we'll make that whole improv story long form. But I do that. So you can definitely see like some of the kooky characters I create, which is also inspiring me to do like this side thing that
Hmm.
I'm doing my improv
Right.
buddies. And yeah, so who we're working on right now, her name is Aggie Agnes. So she's a very kooky character. She wears these thick black glasses and, curly hair and lipstick on her teeth. So she's an older kooky lady. So yeah, sometimes you can see that. So yeah.
Wow, I need to check it out. So what's your greatest strength as an actress?
Um, well, of course, there's always opportunities. Um, as far as those strengths, just being committed. I'm starting to also hear that from, people that I've worked with. They say, you're really committed in your character. Like whoever we give you, we see the commitment to it. Um, even just going back with the whole Aggie Agnes, her character. I mean, maybe sometimes you want to say she's a caricature of someone, but at the same time, it's like just the level of commitment. But I also would say one of my personal strengths, I will have to say, is my professionalism. You know, I take the craft very, very seriously. I didn't come into like film and television per se. I got my background from theater, and in theater, it's a whole different ball game. So I was taught like, a certain amount of professionalism and discipline. And I like to look at, theater as more of a militant form of the craft, because now I could take everything that I've learned. And when I'm walking on set, I'm already like surpassing some people who are kind of what you call green behind the ears. And then, a lot of people that I would meet on set, they will say, wow, how long have you been doing this? And so I will definitely say my professionalism next to like, my being committed, but professionalism. And can we say talent? Okay.
Talent, yeah.
Talent,
Talent
right?
sounds good.
Yeah, so I got a little razzle dazzle, but definitely professionalism, because I noticed in this industry, sorry, it was like super loud. I noticed in this industry is definitely, relationship based. You have your reputation reach the set before you do, and I notice in this industry, people tend to work with the same actor, same talent, especially if you left a great impression.
Right.
And I noticed that. So I'm very, very grateful that all the training that I received growing up as a child and the directors that I've worked with leading me up to this point is like, I could say that I'm making great relationships where they're like, you know what, I don't have something for you right now, but I'm working on something and I'm going to call you back. And it's true because it's happening. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because that you want to have that connections, talk to people and stay in the community. So
Yes. And
connection
people
is
talk.
people do talk.
They do. They do.
You
So it's like if they're going to talk about something, give them something great to talk about as opposed to something negative.
right.
So, and again, I'm still learning. I'm also, last month I was taking classes at the Margie Haber studio. So, we're also working on me individually to like, because what they promote is, excuse me, I'm not trying to like curse on your show, but, F your comfort zone. So that's something that they really look at.
Right.
And, I do have some of my personal habits that kind of like trickles into like my acting that we're trying to strip away. So, but given the fact that what I could say my strengths, besides being professional, is willing to take that risk to discover like that underlayer of like what that character is and not judging it. Because in acting, you just can't say, oh, I'm an actor, and you don't, polish it. You got to always stay in class. You have to always be working. And so one thing that I have learned about myself that's tend of like a little bit of a flaw is the perfectionism. So that's something that we're working on. So I have my strengths, but I also have my weaknesses a little bit. And that's what an opportunity for me to work on is like the perfectionism, trying to like get it perfect, being in my head. And so, yeah.
Be in your moment.
Be in your moment. Yes.
You can say that's the right answer. So call it.
Yes.
How do you get yourself into character?
So how I usually get myself into character is, for one, like when I read the script or if I read the side, I try to read it in a very objective, very neutral way where I'm not judging a character. It's a little bit more of a, how can I say it? It's a little bit more of a teeny challenge if I'm not really connected with the script and I have like a lot of questions. This is where, coaching will come in. But aside from that, I just try to go and see how I can relate to it. What is it a part of me, my essence, that can relate to that character? Okay, that character is playing a lawyer. I've never played a lawyer, but I've seen lawyers on TV. But what is it about the character that I can personally relate to? Okay, well, she's in her 30s. Okay, she's African American. Okay, she's married. Okay, I'm married. She's looking to have kids. Well, I have children. Maybe she was the, just understanding that background story. So for me, it's great for me to kind of like write out a background story of the character, just to kind of give her, some type of insight that can make me bring a little bit of me into it. So, because the one thing about it is you want to be natural as possible. You don't want to look like you're indicating or forcing anything, but aside from that is literally I try to find some part of me into that character that I can bring forth,
Mm-hmm.
and then just play with that. Um, and of course, when it comes to memorization, that's something different, because it's like if I'm automatically connected with the script and I see that it's a fun character, I have no issues memorizing. But I notice like when I'm not really as connected with the script and I have questions about it, it takes me a little bit more of a challenge to try to get it memorized and really try to figure out like,
Right.
okay, how do I want to do this complex character? So, but overall, in general, I love all of it just because I love a challenge, especially in acting, because I like to try different things. But yeah, just literally, background. I feel like it's really essential for an actor to like do like their type of background
Mm-hmm.
story on the character, even if it's an audition side, creating that life before, taking that moment before you say that first line, it really reads. And with the camera, it can detect BS. We could just say like, oh, you're just performing the lines, as opposed to like really letting that story come from
Right.
within. So, but yeah. And I'm still even like layering with that. I'm still learning with that. So of course, I'm not even scratching the surface of exactly how deep I can go into, but I definitely have the fundamentals, the basics. And really that really helps me is like, having that background story of that
Mm-hmm.
character.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to get into character, I heard sometimes.
Yeah. And then of course, it's two different worlds when we're coming from comedy or going towards, drama. Um, comedy is like not trying to be funny, but actually finding something that is maybe considering
Mm-hmm.
frustrating for the character that may come off, hilarious to you guys, but just being truthful in it.
Right.
So my whole thing is, and this is what we even learned in class with the Margie Haber, is like, if you haven't heard anything else, make sure you learn this. It's just always being true to the character. Are you speaking from the truth? Every word when you're listening is truth. Listening to your scene partner, there's truth in that. So give an honest, truthful, response,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that really helps me. And this is why I also love improv, because it helps you stay in that moment, to stay connected and listening to you know, your environment, listening to your scene partner, and helps you be able to be in the moment and giving that truthful response. Like I'm
Right.
saying something, but my body is doing something completely different. And it's like just going with it. But, turning it on, turning it off. People ask me like, well, what about the crying? Because the last couple of films that I did, which was for Fracture and Pancake Man, I
Right.
have to cry. And, to be able to cry on the spot. And I had my one director, his name is Brian Theron, he was asking like, well, can you, I mean, because if not, we can have like, like the little, adhesive or whatever, the glue sticks or something like that to make you want to cry. We have that if you need that. And I was like, no, I should be able to tap into it. And he was like, okay, well, how do you do that if you don't mind me asking? I was like, well, sometimes I actually try to figure out an actual real emotion that's still triggering for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to incorporate with that in the scene, in the character. And then, go from there and just saying the words. It even happened on the previous film with Fracture. The director pulled me to a side and he said, listen, I hate to take you there, Rashida, but we got to take you there. Imagine that's your husband lying in a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he said that, and then I actually pictured that, felt that emotion, and I was crying so much, it just came out. I mean, snot, everything was just coming out. Like I had to cut, well, I didn't cut the scene, but once the scene was done, I had to finish crying it out. I went into the restroom and just finished crying it out. They're like, what happened to Rashida? So it's like, those emotions, to be able to turn it on, turn it off can be exhausting, but it comes from a triple honest place and, past experiences that I can
Mm-hmm.
actually relate to. Well, help drive that character,
Right.
that
Eh,
scene forward. So
right. I didn't know they have something to put under
yeah,
eyes.
I didn't know that either. I've heard like in the old days, like they'll take an onion or something and let the onion, maybe whatever. But I just heard that it was like some type of, it's not like a glue stick, but it's something that you rub under your eyes and it can make you cry. And I cannot even tell you what the name is, but I just heard
Hmm.
that on the set. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, or we can use Visine, whichever. And I'm like, I think I'll be okay. Just,
I didn't know they had something
having,
to put. I didn't know they had something put underneath your eyes.
Yeah, me neither. So and then again, like I said, I don't know. That's always been like the trick of the trade in the business, you know, because I hear a lot of actors can't just cry like that, so they'll need something, or it's just going to take them so many takes to kind of like get that and hit that mark. I don't know, but this is one thing that I try to like, you know, stay on top of. Can I cry?
Right.
Can I
Can you
feel that
cry?
emotion?
Right, right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know
that
that.
is me
Wow.
either. Oh my gosh.
You,
So I was like, what else do you guys have out here? Like, what other kind of tricks? I'm pretty sure as I climb higher into like, you know, the industry, when it decides to open back up, they'll probably expose some of those secrets. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for exposing it. I don't think it's a secret.
probably not. But it's interesting right now the writer's script, the strike is going on. They just mentioned on the news. Um Actors can now go join, by the way. That's what I've heard. So
I've heard that too. And apparently, I think it was what today at 12, it was supposed to have been finalized if they're for sure, because they haven't had, you know, a double strike since 1960. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, that's going to change everything. So, you know, I'm SAG eligible or technically must join. Um, I completely understand exactly where, you know, they are. I salute them because I consider them like the pioneer. So when I'm
mhm.
coming up, I wouldn't have it as hard, you know. So they're paving the way for people like me to come in. Um, However, it's kind of making me like just look at everything in its totality as far as like, you know, where we're going to go from here, because I know technically I'm like non-union, but when it comes to like premieres or with the writers, or if there's like some things that I want to audition for, there's becoming fewer and fewer. Because again, I'm signed with the agent, and they just sent out a mass email like the day before yesterday saying like, where our breakdowns used to have like 300, we're maybe now getting 13, if that.
Wow.
So it's literally kind of like, you know, at this point you want to create your own content if you can, but at the same time this is really important for you to like, you know, get your ducks in a row, get into class, stay sharp, practice, rehearse, um you know, get your headshots ready, because when things open back up then you're ready. But at the same time it's kind of like I feel like I'm in this unknown scene where you just hear crickets. It's so quiet because I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean for me? So I don't know if this is going to impact, you know, like with the commercials, because I know if it's union, it's going to impact it for sure. But as far as like even just auditioning for like film and television, anything like that, if it's not non-union, I'm just kind of curious like how that's going to go.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I guess I'm on a roller coaster as well. I really don't know what to think about this, but it's really, really interesting. It's very interesting. So but my whole thing is however I can be of service and help, you know, I'm definitely there for it. I understand completely. um but at the same time I kind of feel for, you know, the people that are now like not only risking, you know, to, you know, get their voices heard, but the sacrifice that they're going to have to make as far as like, you know, with rent, you know, being able to,
Hmm.
you know, pay for their mortgage, health insurance, taking care of a family. And that, again, I'm married, I have a family, and I know how it is. And I depend on like my jobs that I do book. And
Right.
I know that since film and television is kind of like slowing down, I have no choice but to, you know, really embark on like
Hmm.
commercials. That is my bread and butter. But I don't know. The only thing is just staying grounded and staying positive. Um, yeah, this is a new journey for me. This is new. This is really new. This is really new
No,
for me.
it's yeah, and I totally understand what's going on. I support them and everything.
Yes.
So it is just
Yes.
wow, man.
Yeah. But
So
change is needed. Change is
right.
needed.
So what is the favorite role you played so far?
Um, hmm. A favorite role of mine. Okay, well, when I was doing theater, I did a Motown play and I was playing Diana Ross. That was fun. I just love that character because she allows me to like go there and be very, very eccentric and everything. That was really, really fun. But a second role since then, being out here in LA, that I would say that was a fun character to play was it was actually like my first TV pilot presentation, and it was called The Heat of the Beat. And again, it's the same director, Brian Theron, who's done Half Dead Fred and Pancake Man. That character, her name was Roxy, and she was like a secretary of a music label. And her character was just like really, really fun, a little bit sassy, just annoyed. I do like that. And then as far as like just my improv out of all my characters, I really do like my Aggie Agnes. Aggie Agnes is someone who I like because, again, she can also go there. She's a little bit, on edge. I feel like if I have to compare her character to who Rashida is, she's a lot more confident. Like she'll just say some things and just not care. She cut to the point, She's really, really, really funny, really fun to play. And I just overall love playing characters that are completely different from me. Because I consider myself, I'm okay, but I consider myself can be boring. So it's fun to play a different character that can kind of like take me out of that. But yeah, I mean, so far of all the characters that I have played thus far being in Los Angeles, they have been fun. But as far as like who I love the best right now, ultimately, I definitely love my Aggie Agnes character. I keep speaking of her, but she's so fun. And like, I would consider myself like not the type of person that would do stand-up comedy. But if I was her, which technically I am, but if I was her, I feel like she can actually do that and not care.
Right.
So her rebuttals are very quick-witted. And, Rashida, I'm like kind of PC and
quiet mode.
Yeah. So yeah.
So do you like theater, or do you like on screen the most?
A lot of people tend to ask that question. Again, I come from theater. My background is always going to be my first love. But I know when I made that decision when I graduated, it was like, do you want LA or do you want New York? New York is like, besides your soaps, it's more Broadway theater. And I was like, I wanted something new. And I've always seen myself doing screen, TV, film. So I would definitely have to say I'm more so like film and television versus theater. I would never like, say I won't do theater again, because I would definitely do that. One thing that I love about theater is that those moments you can't get back. So you have to be in that moment. And what I like about it is that you have to be so into that character and big to the point where it does reach the back of the house, but not to the point where it looks fake and you don't look believable. On camera, we can tone it down. You're playing intimately with the camera. Right. The camera does pretty much all the work. And then if it didn't work, you get another take. Maybe. But yeah, theater is always going to be my first love. But where I'm aiming for is definitely film and television. Right. Definitely film, though, for sure.
Yeah, I love film. I mean, I'm not an actor, but I love film.
Okay. Yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of layers with that.
Right. So what is your short-term goal and your long-term goal?
Well, based on what I have written out for this year, for my short term what actually came to pass was to book, a lead role in a film, which I did. So that was like my short term. The second after that was to book a guest star on like a major network show, or even, get in the rankings of, testing for like series regular. So that was kind of like technically, where my short-term goals were. But aside from even getting to like the series regular, definitely guest star, get like a actual major film or a TV credit. And then also just like, getting on a certain casting director short list, getting in front of them. So, I have a list of, target casting directors who I would like to, like, get on their radar and, be seen, and hopefully we can work together. So I've already mentioned that with my agent. I was like, yes, if we can make this happen, and, this is my list of people. And so long term, Academy Award. Yes, I'm just going to go there. They're like, do you really think you can do that? Yes, I do think I can do that. Okay. And I can say that with confidence because I'm willing to put in that work. I'm willing to get deeper based on my history with theater and how deep I have to go and just the emotions that I can play. Right. Yes.
You never know though, for you, never know. Anybody never
know.
Yeah,
you never know. But the whole thing is keeping that vision alive, and don't let anyone else's, fear of projections, be portrayed onto you. This is something I had since I was a child. And I always see myself, and who sparked that into me was Angela Bassett. I look up to Angela Bassett. I admire the Angela Bassett's, the Viola Davises, the Kerry Washingtons. That's who I look up to. So I guess this is why I would say more like film as opposed to television. But now that we're in this day and time where you can kind of like almost do both, because I see Angela Bassett is doing 911, but she's also doing something where she's nominated, for an Academy Award for a Marvel movie, right, which is completely awesome. Before it was kind of like you had to choose, are you going to do film or are you going to do television? So for me, like, I definitely want to be up there with those greats. And I know that I have the tenacity and the drive to do it. It's just all about, how bad do I really want it, and how much I'm willing to put that sacrifice in, and not allowing, certain no's and rejections stop me. So, because I've already had them, but hey.
Yeah, it's deep. It's the passion that we have to keep.
Yeah, it's the passion. If you have passion for anything that you're doing, do it. Because life is too short. We don't know where this is going to turn, and at any blink of an eye, it can change in a millisecond. And it's just like, whatever you're doing, are you having fun? Right. Do what you love and love what you do. And that's my motto.
That's a good motto. You just gotta keep going, keep pushing yourself and all that.
Exactly.
So now more about you is, did you do acting school in Michigan before you moved to California?
So again, when the acting bug bit me in junior high, 7th grade, I would do that in school. And then after school, I was at a local community theater called Plowshares. And that really helped develop, that acting drive and doing theater. And then towards 8th grade, that same fine arts teacher was like, well, why don't you audition for this other local community theater that's very well known in the city? And that's Mosaic Youth Theater of Detroit. And I was like, okay. And at that time, she was also suggesting that, instead of going to your typical regular high schools, why don't you go to the high school that Aaliyah, the former singer, late singer, that went to, and that's the Detroit School of Arts. And I was like, really? She was like, audition to get in. I think you can do it. And so from there, that particular school is kind of like that movie Fame, where it's strictly, very creative. Either you audition to go there for drama, music, dance, whatever, arts, whatever. So I auditioned for like the drama department. And that school hours were like all over the place. We went there for 9 hours. So like maybe 4 or 5 hours was like your math, reading, and science and things of that nature. And then the other half was strictly your arts, whatever you were majoring in. And so after that, after 9 hours of going to school, then I will go to that local community theater for an additional 4 hours. So you're talking about 14 hours a day studying theater, just doing that. And then also going to Michigan State, where I majored in theater, doing plays, and also doing another local community theater. That's when I kind of started like trying to like actually audition in the real world in Michigan. And
pardon me, I had to sneeze. I
oh, you're fine.
So, so for you, while you're talking about your story, is you went to school there, and if you mind me asking, did you grow up in Detroit, Michigan, or did you?
Yes,
Okay, so you're from Detroit.
yes, born and raised, literally Detroit, like not outskirts Detroit, not Metro Detroit, like Detroit, Detroit. So for all those Detroiters, what up, though? That's their little lingo.
Yes.
um, so yeah, and they're pretty big with their theater.
Hmm.
So they have something, where their whole scene
So
is
do
trying to
you?
come up. Go ahead.
Pardon me. So do you call Detroit more like a theater state than a film state?
I well, I kind of would say I feel like the film aspect is kind of picking up.
Hmm.
I'm seeing a lot of like films from Detroit getting their starts now, even on Tubi, they're doing their thing. But personally, what I think of Detroit is, besides being Motown and music driven, is definitely the theater. There was a lot that you could see. Like if you mentioned Wayne State University, they're really, really big with their theater department. Um, U of M, University of Michigan, is really, really huge with their theater department. It's just like you can see a lot of great talent, a lot of great plays in Michigan. So I would definitely say, and as far as like definitely quality, like something that's just going to blow your socks off. Like I can definitely say like Michigan is really, really great
Hmm.
in all, not just Detroit, but just in Michigan in general for like
Right.
theater.
I,
Um,
I've been to Michigan.
okay, yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful, but
yes,
in the winter, forget it.
oh yeah, for sure. That's another reason why I'm just not even planning on trying to go back, just because a -45 wind chill. We're not about that life anymore. I'm done with that. I can't
No,
stand the cold.
no. But
Um,
you say the film industry is growing in Detroit.
it's growing.
Hmm.
I mean, also even before, I want to say before we had got that most recent governor, I think is Rick Snyder.
Hmm.
Um, Before him, it was Jennifer Granholm, and she was trying to get the arts really booming. She was going to have like in Pontiac, and I think they still have that production company. It was pretty
Hmm.
much where Hollywood comes to Michigan and film because they get a major tax incentive. And that's where they had one thing where they had the Batman versus Superman movie starring Ben Affleck that came to Michigan. And sorry, it's really loud.
I can't hear. It's okay.
Okay, good. um, but yeah, so they were doing something where they were bringing a lot of films. A lot of films were being made, like major motion pictures. Budgets were being made in
Hmm.
Michigan for the tax incentives. And then when that transition where a new governor came in, that kind of like we saw a decline in that. Now, everything since then is kind of like trickling back in. People are starting to like, like, hey, well, maybe I can create my own and do
Right.
this. So over the last, I want to say 5-6 years, it's kind of like picking back up with the film industry.
Hmm.
But aside from that, at one point, I thought we were going to be a nice little hub in Michigan because the one studio that I'm speaking of that's in Pontiac, like it was huge. It was a
Right. I
huge,
heard about it.
yeah. So it was really
And then one thing I will say I'm noticing is that the film industry and TV show is spreading to other states. You're talking about Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, all the way to like Louisiana to Atlanta, Georgia, and I mean New York already always had one, Chicago had one, but you're talking about
mhm,
other places that they're building, they're starting, like they're
yeah.
and I believe it's great for other actors and other actresses and producers and directors in those states so they can start making their product to get their name out there.
Hmm.
And and there's some people are like, wow, didn't know you can make your film in this state. Wow, great view, great scenery. So that's the one thing about it. You then you can they travel to LA. You have even actors from California traveling to the states to be in
Yes.
films in those states because they want to be part of that production. So in my
Hmm.
opinion, that's amazing that the film industry is growing. And so And I think that Detroit is doing a great thing. I heard the film industry is growing up there, and it's helping a lot of people. And I believe, it's not believe actually, it's the true fact that when you have a lot of young people, like elementary, middle school, and high school kids that live in Detroit, or New Mexico, Arizona, and all the other states, that are growing up and watching you or myself and other people who want to try to get into entertainment industry, we're encouraging them. And
Yes,
you may not agree or not, but I know you don't have to have a college degree to be an actor.
you
You
don't.
practice with your friends, and there's people that they can say, "Oh, I can't afford college," right? And I totally understand that. I really do. It's like, okay, we got it. We're good. We're in the same boat, and
Yeah.
we always say, well, you can practice, you and your friends can practice making lines, and you
Mhm.
can go online and see if there's audition for these films. Anyway, you can be behind the scenes or on set, but not having speaking lines. That's where you can start off from, and that's resume. So yeah, but it's encouraging, it's passion, but showing all these younger generations, and older generations that if you want to be in it, it's not too late.
Mhm.
You can go and do it. And and that, if that's your passion, you go for it, right?
You go for it.
And that's the
And
thing. That's
yes,
why.
and it is. And then that's sometimes, that could be scary from, person to person, because taking that leap of faith,
Hmm.
into the unknown, the fear of failure, or
And
even the fear
that's
of
right.
success.
And it is a fear of failure, right? And you gotta, and it's scary to think about it, right? Because
It
you're
is.
like, you want to get into it, and especially younger people, you're like, oh wow, auditions, and you don't get it, you get your emotions, and it messes with you. You have some people, you're like, okay, whoa, calm down, whoa, what happened? I just like, whoo, take a deep breath, right? Whoo, take a deep breath, right? And it's like, I had to do this, you got to do this moment. You're like,
You
whoo,
do.
right? But it's very important to do that, because and it's passion, but also it's pushing yourself. You keep auditioning, because you never know, and you may get that role, and you're like, okay, finally, but you never know, that one row will help you get the next row. So it's just keep going, and it's just, and I always tell people, don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah.
You don't give up. It takes 6 9 months. You may audition, but you never know. Hey, you get a commercial, that's the beginning, right? It's a
Yeah.
beginning, a commercial. So a lot of people are like, oh, okay, we see you were in for example, I'm gonna say you were in a Starbucks commercial. Forgive me,
Mhm.
Starbucks, I said it. But anyway, Starbucks commercial. And you're like, okay, we see you. You were in a commercial. Okay. So now we can, when you audition, you're like, you can have something on your resume saying you were there, you were on the commercial, and then you go from there. So it's
Yeah.
true. And you're right. What you're saying, it's auditions, but also you got to be prepared for the
You
negative
do.
too.
You
The
do. Because it's
headshots.
there.
And I know some people, a lot of actors are like, well, I thought I had the role, but I guess my look wasn't good, or my hair was not right. And people are like, what's wrong with me? What has happened? And it's like, it's not you, right? It's the character. It's the character, right? And then there might be some, they're like, well, we want your hair to grow more, then we have you, right? Or like something like that. And you're like, oh, okay, right? So it's just,
Mhm.
you never know. It's just,
You
that's
know,
that's the thing.
and that's what's so, I kind of like intriguing for me, because I don't know. I feel like if I knew all of it and knew what the person was thinking, or I know I'm going to get those roses just lined up, I think it would be bored. And I'll already be like, okay,
Right. And
what's
that's one
that?
thing about what's so fun. Like, it's
Yeah,
challenging, but also you don't know the
you
role you're
don't.
getting. So
It's like dating. It's like you have an idea how you would like the date to go, or if you guys decided, to take it to the next level, but you still don't know. It's not mapped
right.
out. You take
It'll
it
be
day by
bad.
day.
It'll be bad if you know the next level.
Right.
Right.
And
So you can't.
you just have to stay grounded,
Right. It's the purpose of life. Life
it is.
struggle. 100%.
Yeah. And like you were saying, as far as like, you don't have to have a college degree to like pursue this. You don't, especially in acting, it comes from like life experiences. There are some things that you can practice to get better on, but again, you don't need a degree for that. You could just, take a workshop,
Hmm.
study the greats on television, watch a master class, things like that. And all of it's literally going to come from experience. It's literally experience.
Right.
And this is the great thing that I like about the Margie Haber studio. Their classes, they, again, calling you out in your BS. It's like what you're doing in your real life, your personal life is showing in your acting. You are a type of person that truly doesn't listen to whoever's speaking to you. You're always either cutting them off, or you don't really follow
Hmm.
along where that conversation is going. You kind of pivot and change the whole trajectory of the conversation. And that shows in your acting. And it's like, for a beginner just coming into this, like, oh, I have to go to like a major acting school, or, things like that. And it's like, no, I can tell you right now, if you learn how to truly listen, like honestly listen to any people in your life, whether it's your mom, your best friend, your boyfriend, anyone, if you could truly and honestly listen to them, know what listening means, and truthfully, honestly respond to that, you've already knocked out half of, your work, in developing your character, or,
Right.
really getting into acting. That's your first beginning right there, is the art of listening. So, yeah. I mean, if I would have told myself that, yeah, I wanted, but again, I went there for psychology, but I was majoring in theater.
No,
But
no,
that was,
it's right. And you like I said, I personally believe, and I know this, and I could be wrong, but college is not what it used to be. You
it's
know,
not. Oh,
it's
it's a
not.
business.
It
It is
always
a
a business,
business.
but you gotta push yourself to have that passion. Keep
Yeah.
going. So
And
you
that's
gotta love
hard.
what you're doing.
Yes.
And
And it's,
the
it's
goodness
really
about the
hard.
entertainment industry is people that you meet, not in person, but on all this stuff, person or not. It's the community of support from each
Yes.
other, right? The word of mouth.
Yes.
That is how the word's gonna spread about you, right? That's how people are gonna know
Yeah.
about you, right? And
Social media definitely helps with that.
right.
I mean, if we look
People
at,
are like, for example, they're gonna like thank you, but people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, we heard about you. Oh, from who?" And you're like, "Oh, this person." Oh, okay, and we're like,
see?
"Thank you."
Yes.
It's like, you hear stories, but if you take that serious note and you're like, "Okay, this is the community support. This is what we love, what we're doing," and that's
Mhm.
why like a lot of actors and actresses and producers and directors, we all communicate. We also support each other, and it's the word of mouth, right? And that's how we're gonna spread. So that's why, like anybody who wants to get in acting, it's okay. There's auditions, but also it's word of mouth. They're like, you may not got that role, but they're gonna be communicating someone else potential is, hey, are you looking for someone that, hey, this person just auditioned for my role, but I didn't take them. Go contact them. And you might get, and then you never know you get on. You're like, hey, I
Right.
just heard from you. This person, I know they didn't have you on their film or the TV show, but I would like you to have you on my TV show and film. And you're like, oh, really? And that's the thing. You never know.
Yes. And it happens more than you think. It happens all the time, actually. It
Right.
literally happens all the time. I mean, again, it's just, you know, it's all about timing, but building those relationships. So when
It's
I
very
personally,
important to have a relationship. And
it
it
is,
doesn't
oh my
matter if
God.
it's famous or not. It's very important to have a relationship. You have a lot of actors, you know, uh, that dream of working with so many people, right? And it's like, okay, I'm working with these people, but you never know, right? It's like word of mouth. You have to support each other, and
You
it's
do.
it's it's powerful, but and that's what I love about music industry, entertainment industry. We are supporting each other, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
100%.
And, and this
It
is
doesn't.
why,
It does. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well." For I would say this, and this is the truth. People are like, "Wow, I don't live in California. I don't live in Los Angeles. I'm like here in this state." And then you pause for a minute, like, "Oh, I understand. Yes, but first, I always tell first get a headshot. Get an Instagram page, or then you start spreading, you start following people, you start supporting each other, and that's how you start spreading. But eventually you will meet these people from other states, but you gotta, it's a support. And I think that it doesn't have to be 100% your local state supporting you. It's the big thing, it's the acting community supporting you.
And we're out there. We're definitely out there. That community,
and that's the one thing I love about the entertainment industry. It doesn't matter what state you live in, from California to New York, from Florida to Seattle, Chicago to Texas, wherever, we're all communicating from each other. And it's the truth. You could be on set and it's like, oh wow, you're in like Florida, I'm here, we get to be on set together. You never know. And that's
right.
it brings a family together.
It does. And then you have those relationships, to be honest, like for life.
Right. And I know there's some actors that you're on set for like 9 weeks, right? For example.
Yeah.
And then after it's over, you're like, wait a minute, now what do I do? Right? Where's my family? And then you're like, your family is like, your husband or your kids are like, we're family. And you're like, wait, hold on. Something is missing, right? So you have to pick up the phone or call them like, hey, and they'll be like, I was thinking about you guys too, blah, blah, blah. And it's like a family. It's like you start communicating. And that's the thing. It's like, that makes you emotional, but passion. It's like you work hard, but you become entertainment family. You worry about them. You're like, your health, your family, what's going on, and you start talking and sending thank you cards or Thanksgiving cards, Christmas cards. But it all comes down to, it's like you work so hard what you're doing, but you're also being on set. And that's what a lot of people talk about. It's like you love what we're telling people's stories. It's not
and it's so important to find that community. It's so important, especially if you're just starting out, because sometimes you may not have that family support. And this is why, like you were saying, at least find your actor support, find that community. I mean, I come from a family where it was kind of divided. Some supported the arts, and then others is like, get your head out of the clouds. You just need to get a job, 401k, and all this other stuff. Very traditional. And, you as a person, an individual, you have to decide, where your passion lies, because it's like you could be easily influenced and say, well, maybe you're right. My head is too in the clouds and I'm not getting any younger. And I do want to have something I can retire off of. And then that kind of zaps the zest of life out. So it's like, keep playing, find other people that is what you want to do. Find that community, reach out to them. Like you say, create something. And it's so important. It's so important.
Yeah, it's 100% the truth. It's getting passion,
very. Because if you don't have passion, it's like, then why are you doing it? Then you're going to be looking at it like, oh, I got to come here. It's Monday again. I'm back at the same job, doing the same thing, working for the same person on the hamster wheel. The Groundhog's Day repeated again. And it's like, that's not what life's about. Yeah. So it's like, if you're going to do something that you love. And, the money is going to come eventually. But, don't get into it because you want to be rich and you want to be famous. Do it because you truly, honestly love it. And don't do it because your parents are forced.
If you 100% love what you're doing, do it.
Go all in and be unapologetic about it, because it's like you don't owe an explanation to anyone but yourself. Because again, you're not getting any younger. You are getting older, but at the same time, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I could have, should have. Right. And we do see a lot of failed people who get to that point. I'm not knocking them down, but this is where your drive has to come in. Do you want this bad enough? Are you going to go with the ebbs and flows of the industry?
You got to do what you got to do.
You have to. And me being married to a musician, producer, he can understand that. I felt like had I been married to like a traditional spouse who's like in the 9-to-5 world, they probably wouldn't have been as receptive to, what it is that I'm doing, vice versa. So, finding that community is really, really important. And the thing about it is there's never a great time to do anything. You just have to do it. So when I have like certain people ask me, well, when did you find a good time to do it? And I was like, honestly, during the pandemic, that's when things started really trickling in for me.
Yeah. The pandemic was crazy, but
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, so for me, to say that the pandemic was a time for me to actually blossom and to like, take the
Mhm.
bull by the horns, that's letting you know, like during the pandemic where everything was so unknown, you don't know what is happening. If I could find some success during that, then that means you can do it at any point. Don't
Right.
have to wait until everything becomes perfect because nothing will ever be perfect.
Yeah.
And again, just having passion, stay with it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything because they didn't do it or they just don't see your dreams like you do.
Hmm.
And then sometimes if it comes down to it, you have to realize you just don't tell your dreams to everyone.
That's
There's
true.
some things, yeah, like some people in my family, I just don't tell what I'm doing, but they'll pop up and see me on television. They're like, wait a minute, when did you shoot that? So you're really doing this acting thing, huh? Oh, okay. And then when they ask, well, what else you working on? Those people, I would just tend to say, I got some things lined up because I don't want to give you a chance to
Right,
kind of,
right. You know that's the thing, the passion. You gotta keep doing. Don't
yeah,
say can't. Keep going. Keep
you
going.
got to protect it.
100%.
You have
So
to,
right.
100%. So yeah,
100%.
I'm
You,
proud to be an actor. I'm proud to be an artist. I'm proud to be a creative.
good.
So anyone that's, looking to get in any of those categories, I'm proud. Like if I could be an advocate, for schools having after school programs that's promoting the arts, I'll do that because I know that was so um pivotal for me. It was so
Hmm.
important for me. That turned on a light for me. Having that fine arts teacher give me that opportunity to kind of break me out of my shell, to get me to see how theater is, to see how acting was, and to be bitten by that bug is the reason why I'm doing what I do today.
Right.
And it's so important to like, just finding those arts because it's a release outlet. It
Hmm.
is. It's such
We gotta
a,
we
oh my,
gotta love what we're doing, and I
you
love
have
what I'm doing
to.
too. And we all love what we're doing. This
Yes.
this is
So
this is
I
it.
still, and I thank you for what you're doing because it gives, creatives, artists a platform to be able to voice, who they are and their existence into this industry, and not to do what we're doing and take it in for vain. So, we thank, you guys and like it's all needed.
Well,
It's all needed.
I appreciate you so much. Means a lot. I
Thank
love
you.
what I do, and getting it's not about me, it's about you guys, and that's the thing. It's about you guys coming on my show, talking about your story, about your journey, why you want to get into it, passion, encourage people to do what
Yeah.
they love doing. This is, and we're telling people stories. That's the thing.
Telling people stories. Exactly. And
100%.
one day you never know, someone may be telling your story. So it's just like, we're all here to be of service of one another.
Right.
That's
You
what we
never
put
know.
down.
That's right. Someone could be telling our story one day.
Yeah. And it's just like, just help be of service to any way you
Hmm.
can,
Right.
and help uplift people. And if you find a community, find a way to uplift them as well as be of service as well.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, whether we want to
Yeah.
believe it or not. So even though I'm not officially in the union per se with my card, what happens with that still affects me. I still empathize with that because at the same time, they're help being those pioneers to get
Hmm.
me at a smoother, negotiation, a smoother experience. I'm grateful for the whole Me Too movement. I'm grateful for that because a lot of things that happen traditionally in Hollywood, I'm glad I don't have to go through that, So these times where it could be uncertain, it's necessary, it's needed.
Hmm.
And, I just say, like, even though, again, I'm not personally into it per se, but I support it and I understand it. And that's my community. And
Right.
I support them. So,
Well, I'm glad. We know this. I totally agree with you. This is our community. We are supporting the community. I totally
yes.
understand about the Me Too movement and everything, but it's just how we are as a community in the entertainment industry, how we are supporting each other. That's the thing, a big thing. So, it's just how we meet.
Yes.
It's the support. So, and of course, thank you. I met
Oh,
you.
thank
It means a lot for your support. Thank you for coming on my show.
Yes. I mean, again, thank you for having me. And, I wasn't expecting this, and I'm very, very grateful. And, I just feel like anytime I can, help maybe elicit some type of spark into another creative, another artist, actress, whichever you want to call it, let them go for their dreams. I'm here for it. And I just thank you for giving me the
Well,
opportunity.
you're very welcome. And what do you mean you weren't expecting this?
I wasn't. I'm just doing what I do, trying to be engaging on social media. That's a whole nother story. Whatever. But yeah, just having that opportunity, I was like, wow, someone wants to interview me. Really? Because and then that's a whole nother topic as far as like, sometimes as an artist, if we're in our heads, sometimes we can kind of like get into that imposter syndrome. That's a whole nother different topic. But regardless, just seeing how like the universe is aligning everything to be able to say, like, no, I'm seeing what you've been doing. You've been putting in the hours of work, 10,000 hours. It's time for you to kind of like, be seen and be heard and see exactly what you're doing. Because again, whether you think about it, someone is watching you. Someone is always watching you. And I thank you for, watching me over a little time. Just to be able to see like, hey, you're creative. I see what you're doing. How are you doing it? And where do you want to go with that? It's really intriguing. It's inspiring. So, I really appreciate that. So again, I wasn't expecting it.
Well, you're very, very welcome. Like I said, I'd love, this is not about me, it's about you guys. So, and this is the stories, the people's stories, people's, young actors, young actresses, or, any age, any people in the entertainment industry, having them tell their stories, how they got involved, right? And that's the story about it. That's the story behind the scenes, why and what's their passion, and what made them drive for this. And so, and also we're telling people's stories, human people's stories, people who are not in the entertainment industry. We are telling their stories about crime show or love stories or emotional stories. We're telling people's stories and out there. We're making films for them. So they will know this is what happened to their family, or this is what happened to their loved ones. And then people will understand. So, and that's how, TV shows and films are going, that's just how you watch all these other shows like, Doctor, and all the, the doctors, or the, Chicago and PD, or, all the shows. People, young kids, you're like, oh, I want to be an actor. Oh, I want to be a firefighter. Oh, I want to be a police officer. Oh, I want to be a doctor. That's the stories we're telling, so people know this is what that life is like if you want to be a doctor or you want to be a police officer. It may not be 100% what you're seeing on TV, the different life, but at least you understand this is what you want to do. You go for it, right? But also you have people that want to say, "Ooh, I want to be an actor. I want to be an actress." You go for it. You go for it. You never know, and that's why we're here to tell people's stories. It's But
one thing I will say for those who's getting into this industry, you have to check your ego. You have to check it.
Yes.
You have to check your ego, because you're going to hit a ceiling. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Yes. Check your ego.
100%. And that's the thing. The entertainment industry it's fun.
Yes.
Well, you gotta know your boundary, right? But other than that, you meet amazing people.
You do.
It is unbelievable, like people's stories of other actors that you meet, and like I was saying, you become friends, and it's like, wow, you find out like stories and their background as well, and emotionals, and you're on set for like how many weeks, and you become a family, and that's the thing. First is the ego, but other than that, that's the thing about the acting or the music industry. You 100% become a family. You have your real family, but also you have the entertainment industry family, and that's what I love about this entertainment. It's like we are supporting each other.
Yes.
congratulating each other. And you get a reward or not. We are congratulating each other on the accomplishment of each other. And that's a big deal. That's amazing.
Yes. And just letting them know I see you. Here are your roses. Just that means a lot, and not even just bringing into the industry, just a person, a human being wants to
Right.
feel acknowledged. They want to feel
Mm-hmm.
like what they're doing does matter, and so this is why, just people just helping other people, being of service, giving out that compliment, that can go a long way. But of course, it's even better when you can find an actual community of like-minded individuals such as yourself. That's even better. So it's just like, again, we're definitely into this, but you're only going to go so far as how far you're willing to put yourself out there.
Yes.
So when they say, well,
100%.
how far you want to go into this? Well, that's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. That is
Yeah.
100%. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Miss Rashida. I appreciate you coming on my show. I can't wait to have you back on my show. I can't wait to talk about more of your upcoming projects on my
Yes.
show. You're always welcome to come back.
Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Again, like I said, I was not expecting this. You're going to make me emotional for a second, but then again, I get emotional easily.
Well,
Oh my God.
you're welcome to cry on my show. I have people cry on my show.
Really? Oh, okay. Because I got my tissue just in case. But yeah. Okay. Well, again, this meant a lot. This really meant
You're
a lot.
very welcome. My show, it's not about like I'm 100% serious about this. My show's not about me. Okay. My show is 100% not. My show is about you guys in this entertainment industry. I, and that's the big deal. My show would not be here if I wouldn't have actors and actresses and producers and directors on my show. And that's why I love what I'm doing. You know, and people may look at me and like, oh, Ryochi, you're doing great with your show. And I said, yes, thank you so much. But I have the support in this entertainment industry, like you and other people who come on my show and we support each other. So,
Yeah.
you're so welcome. I'm being serious, but again, it's not about me. It's about you guys. It's about you. And your husband's also in the entertainment industry. It's about him as well. It's about people who come on my show and tell their stories. But I also, I'm trying and hoping that I'm spreading their story out in the entertainment industry into the world. That people know more about you, but people know about what is going on with their stories, why they got into the entertainment industry, what's their story about, what their character about is on set, on film or TV show, and how was the character like for them, and it's all that story people want to hear. So that's what my show's about.
Well, Ryochi, I thank you because again, any creative, we're very excited and very humbled to even have the opportunity to even feel like we're deserving enough to even have our story being told, where you don't have to be like a top A-list or something like that, like all the way up there. And it's just like, this is, I'm honored. So I mean, again, I feel like I made, another connection, a friend, anything that you may need. I'm definitely there for you. And I can just thank you for allowing, again, for me to tell my story. And I'm definitely 100% excited to look forward to the future of coming back on this show. So I can tell even bigger and greater things. And
Well, thank you so
hopefully
much.
that I can turn on the light for someone else.
I appreciate you. It means a lot. I'm here to show people love and kindness to the world, and show people that we're here for each other. And I
Yeah.
I want to end it with this, is that, and when we're in this entertainment industry, it's not about going against each other, right? We're here supporting each other, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. And that's what my show's about. It's that we're supporting each other. I'm showing, like, I say this again, I'm showing people that we are not here to go against each other. We're here to have our backs. But the famous or not, we are all here supporting each other. And that's the thing, and that's what I love about entertainment industry. You know, we are we are, you know, people may not know what's going on behind the scenes, right?
I know.
But we are here, we're here, we're trying. But it is the truth. It is the truth,
Yes,
and it's
it
the
is.
stories that we're telling. It's your story, not my
Yeah.
story. It's your story. Everybody comes on my show. It's about their story, and that's how my show is going to keep going. It's not about me. It's about you guys.
Well, again, I am excited and I just thank you. And ah, that just made me feel good. It really made me feel good just having that today, just having, because, to be honest, I was kind of like, I don't know. Well, I hope I don't come off boring, or, do I have something worth telling? And like, you really don't know me. I'm coming up, but it's like, but again, that inside mindless chatter, you just have to ignore and just do it. And,
Hmm.
you know, this is not just by chance. This is happening for a reason. And I'm pretty sure it will be soon revealed as I keep, staying grounded, keeping 10 toes down and staying into my industry and staying committed to what I'm doing. This is going to show that this was just the beginning of what is yet to come. And so I just thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you, and I can't wait to have you back.
Well, thank you. And I can't wait to be back. Well, I'll see you around on social
Yes,
media.
yes, and
And
I will talk to you soon.
yes.
All right,
All right. Well, thank you.
you're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.